Across the vastness of the galaxy, filled with endless stars and intelligent life forms, there exists a strange and persistent whisper, a legend told in forgotten corners and quiet tongues. This whisper speaks of a species unlike any other, a species not known through evidence but through fear, humans. They are not mentioned in official histories. No government acknowledges their existence. No planet openly speaks of contact with them. And yet the stories persist. Old spacefarers tell of human strength, adaptability, and stubbornness. They speak of beings who could survive environments that would destroy others, of creatures who, when cornered, became more dangerous than entire fleets. These tales are told like bedtime. Myths, fables passed from generation to generation to scare children. Don't wander too far into the black, they say, or the humans will find you. What's strange is the consistency of the stories. Across countless civilizations who never met each other, the core legend remains the same. There once was a race called humans. They were powerful, unpredictable, and then they vanished. No ruins, no ships, no proof, just a mystery and a warning. Some believe they were wiped out. Others say they hid themselves from the rest of the galaxy, waiting. And some, the most fearful, believe that humans never left, they only became invisible. Over time, the myth faded. The powerful empires of the modern galaxy, Xelons, Crichton's Theriacs, reduced the story to a joke, a superstition. Humans are just stories, they say, but deep down in places where secrets live. Some remember, and that memory is what makes this myth dangerous. This paragraph builds the sense that humans weren't just another race. They were something else entirely. Their disappearance wasn't defeat. It was a pause, a silence. And silences in deep space don't last forever. As time moved forward, the terrifying legends of humans began to lose their power. Stories that once sent chills down the spines of galactic rulers became amusing relics of the past. Without any physical evidence, no crashed ships, no fossils, no confirmed sightings, humanity was slowly erased not just from records, but from memory itself. The great empires of the galaxy, the Xelons, the Cretans, and the Theriacs, rose to dominance in the absence of humans. They built powerful alliances, vast trade routes, and unmatched technology. With each new generation, the myth of humanity faded further into obscurity. To these modern powers, the idea of humans was laughable. The thought that a species made of flesh and bone could have ever posed a real threat to mechanical minds and telepathic empires was now considered childish. The name human was treated like an old ghost story, something used to scare children into obedience, but not something taken seriously. University texts referred to humans as cultural fabrications. Alien scholars labeled them as fictional war propaganda, created during unstable times to unify weaker civilizations against a common enemy. Museums displayed artistic interpretations of what humans may have looked like, more theater than truth. Their features were exaggerated for effect, their strength made to look primitive. Even worse, the species who once feared humans the most had now rewritten the past. In their updated histories, humanity was either never mentioned or mocked as a superstition of ancient, less evolved times. No ruins, no ships, no homeworld. It was as if humanity had never existed. But here lies the silent tension of the paragraph. How can something that was supposedly never real be so deeply remembered in so many places? This contradiction haunts the edges of truth. Across thousands of star systems, distant planets, and forgotten languages, the pattern of human stories is consistent. A powerful species, unpredictable, emotional, dangerous, and then gone. The leaders of today's galaxy choose to ignore this. They prefer comfort over caution, pride over curiosity. And so the memory of humanity is buried, not because of truth, but because of arrogance. This paragraph paints a chilling picture. The galaxy is not prepared for humanity's return, because in their overconfidence, they stopped believing they ever existed. Everything changes in an instant. The quiet disbelief and mockery surrounding humanity are shattered when something unexplainable happens, an event so unexpected, so precise that the galaxy's certainty begins to crack. The Crichton Empire, one of the strongest and most arrogant civilizations in the galaxy, launches a military operation toward a seemingly insignificant planet on the edge of the Orion Belt. From their perspective, it's a routine expansion mission, a resource grab from a lifeless rock. Their scanners show no sign of technology, no intelligent life, no defense systems. It's classified as a dead blue world. But as their first warship enters the planet's orbit, something strange happens. Every ship in the fleet suddenly freezes for a split second, not due to mechanical failure, not due to enemy fire, but because of a transmission. It doesn't come from a known frequency. It doesn't use a common language, and yet everyone understands it. 3 words appear on every screen, every control panel, every display. We remember. The message is silent. No voice, no images, just a simple glowing phrase that doesn't need explanation. In that moment, panic begins to grow. This wasn't a normal malfunction. It wasn't an accidental signal. It was a message, carefully timed, perfectly delivered, and clearly directed. And more terrifying than the message itself is the source. None of the Crichton ships detect where it came from. It wasn't broadcast through space. It seemed to appear inside their systems, as if it had always been there, just waiting to be triggered. Suddenly, the forgotten myth doesn't feel so distant anymore. That one phrase, "we remember," carries the weight of centuries, of war, betrayal, survival, and silence. It's not just a statement. It's a declaration, a warning, a quiet reminder that those once dismissed as myths never truly disappeared. And now they are responding. This paragraph marks the turning point of the story, where mystery begins to shift into reality. It's the moment when the galaxy's arrogance meets the first tremor of truth. What was once a joke now feels like the beginning of something far bigger. And the Crichton Empire, first to witness this message, suddenly realizes they were wrong. Humans were never a myth. They were a memory. And memories come back. Moments after the chilling message, "we remember," appears, the silence of space is broken, not by noise but by presence. In an instant, the stars seem to shift. Space itself bends. The region around the blue planet twists and warps, like a fabric being torn open by invisible hands. And from that rift, they arrive. Thousands of ships, dark and silent, begin to emerge from the void. Their designs are unfamiliar, not alien, but ancient. They don't match any known fleet in the galactic archives. Their hulls are scarred, but their structure is powerful. Some are enormous, built like moving fortresses. Others are sleek and fast, hovering like predators in the dark. There is no sound, no declaration of war, no flashy energy blasts. Just arrival, a return. These ships don't glow with flashy lights or display flashy insignias. Instead, they carry the aura of silence, the kind of silence that speaks of deep, calculated patience. It is not the silence of peace. It is the silence of readiness. The Crichton Empire watches helplessly as their entire fleet is surrounded. Their targeting systems won't lock. Their scans return nothing. It's as if the ships don't exist, yet clearly they do. These vessels move with surgical precision. They don't drift. They advance as if choreographed, as if they've done this before 1,000 times. And behind the steel and energy shielding, behind the adaptive armor and fusion core engines, is something the galaxy had forgotten. Humans. But these are not the humans of bedtime stories or ancient ruins. These are something far more evolved and far more terrifying. Their ships combine old-world ruggedness with technology that seems to defy physics. Some parts look hand-forged. Others shimmer with quantum architecture. The Crichton commanders realize something terrifying. These ships were built in silence, upgraded in hiding, perfected in exile. This moment shows us something critical about humanity. They did not die. They vanished on purpose. And during that vanishing, they prepared. The entire galaxy had been expanding, fighting, building, all the while believing the myth of humans was dead. But humanity had not been resting. They had been watching, learning, evolving, and now they have returned. Not with words, but with presence. This paragraph paints a moment of shock and awe. It's not a battle yet, it's a statement. Humanity's silence has ended. Their shadow has stepped into the light. And the first thing the galaxy sees is their armada. As the massive human fleet holds its silent position in orbit, the Crichton war commanders inside their ships are frozen, not by weapons, but by disbelief. What they're witnessing should not be possible. Humans were myths, lost, forgotten, a bedtime story. Yet here they are, not just real but standing as equals, no, as superiors. Inside the Crichton flagship, alarms are blaring, but no system can detect the intruding ship's identities. Their sensors fail to analyze the human fleet. It's as if the data itself refuses to make sense. Even their advanced AI systems are stalling, running loops, unable to classify what they're seeing. And then, before any order can be given, before a single shot is fired, another message comes through. This time it's not just on screens. It plays in their minds, their ships, their helmets, their implants. Everything lights up with the same message. You forgot us, but we never forgot you. It's a sentence filled with silence and weight. Not a threat, not a scream, but a statement spoken with calm confidence. This moment isn't just shocking, it's humbling. The galaxy had laughed at humanity, had erased their records, had denied their existence. And now those same humans were speaking directly to their enemies, not with anger, not with fear, but with memory. The Cretans, known for their military pride, realized something devastating in that instant. They underestimated a species that remembers, and in war, memory is more dangerous than any weapon. This short sentence, "You forgot us, but we never forgot you," carries a vengeance deeper than firepower. It means humanity has been watching all along, learning their moves, understanding their weaknesses, preparing without revealing themselves. This paragraph shows a crucial truth. Humanity doesn't just return with ships. They return with purpose, with focus, with clarity. They are not here to scream their rage. They are here to remind the galaxy of what was forgotten. And the most terrifying enemy is not the one who wants war. It's the one who waited centuries just to send a message. That message has now been sent. And every empire is finally listening. The Cretan Empire had expected a battle. After all, they were a warrior race, masters of offense, proud conquerors of dozens of worlds. When they saw the human fleet appear, their first instinct was to prepare for war. But war never came. Instead, something far more chilling happened. The moment the humans delivered their message, "You forgot us, but we never forgot you," everything around the Cretans began to change. Not violently, not suddenly, but with methodical precision. First, their weapons went offline. No warning, no damage. The control panel still lit up, but their systems refused to engage. Targeting locks failed, shields flickered and fell, communications distorted. Next, their ships began losing power, not through explosions or hacking, but as if something inside their technology had been disabled. All across Cretan space, the same thing happened. Weapons silenced, fleets grounded, defense grids turned to glass. Colonies blinked out like candles in the wind. And still, not a single human weapon had fired. The galaxy expected humanity to return with fire and fury, with vengeance, with blood, but instead they returned with control. This paragraph reveals something powerful and unexpected. Humanity doesn't need to destroy. They've evolved beyond destruction. In their time hidden away, humans had learned not just how to fight, but how to win without fighting. They had studied the galaxy's systems, built quiet tools, mastered invisible tactics. Their return wasn't an act of violence. It was a demonstration not of might but of mastery. And this is what makes the moment so frightening for the Cretans and the rest of the galaxy. How do you fight an enemy who doesn't want to fight you, but can still defeat you completely? This paragraph shows that humanity's goal is not revenge, it's remembrance. A carefully delivered reminder that they were never gone, and they are no longer the same. Their silence was not weakness, it was preparation. Now they've proven a terrifying truth. They can end wars without ever starting them. The galaxy had gone silent, not because of fear, not because of surrender, but because something had returned that defied understanding, a memory made flesh, walking among the stars once again. Across command bridges and planetary capitals, across moons and listening stations, leaders of every empire stared in disbelief as the human armada remained motionless. There was no invasion, no conquest, no chaos, just an overwhelming, calculated presence. And in that presence, an undeniable truth: they were never truly gone. In the Xelon High Council chamber, ancient ministers whispered in panic behind closed doors. The Theriax Queen disconnected herself from her planetary hive mind for the first time in 300 years to consider the growing silence, even the cold. Logic-driven Cretans and masters of war stood frozen on the decks of their disabled flagships, unable to make sense of what they were witnessing. Because this wasn't how legends were supposed to return. There were no battle cries, no burning cities, No collapsing stars, just ships, quiet, aligned, waiting, like judges. And as those black armored vessels held their position, the galaxy slowly began to realize what was happening. This was not retaliation. This was a reckoning of memory. The humans had not come to destroy. They had not come to enslave, threaten, or conquer. They had come to remind the galaxy of the one thing it had tried so hard to bury under: progress and propaganda. That it once feared something real. And now that fear had taken form. Every empire that had mocked the myth now found itself exposed. Not through force, but through reflection. The myths they had turned into jokes, the legends they had labeled as superstition, they were now watching them, standing above their strongest fleets, saying nothing, doing nothing, yet owning everything. It was control without aggression, power without noise, judgment without words. Humanity didn't demand respect. Their presence demanded it for them, and that was the most terrifying part of all. For centuries, the galaxy had measured power through weapons, ships and territory, but the humans had rewritten that scale. They had turned absence into strength. They had turned silence into dominance. They had turned memory into a weapon. And now, with no warning, no invitation, no declaration, the galaxy remembered. The myth had returned, but not as ghosts, as something far more dangerous, as the ones who watched, as the ones who waited, as the ones who never forgot.